Hey everyone, and welcome. So, have you ever just looked at German noun plurals and thought, what is going on here? If so, you're definitely in the right place, because today we're going to crack that code together. I mean, look at this. Does this feel familiar? One word adds an E, another adds an S. It's one of those things that can give you a real headache when you're learning German, right? But I promise you, there's actually a system hiding in there. Let's dive in and find it. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll size up the puzzle. Then we'll crack the code by looking at 5 key patterns. We'll even tackle that tricky umlaut twist, navigate some of the exceptions, and then put it all into action. By the end, you'll be building your very own toolkit. Okay, so let's start with the big question. Why does this all feel so tricky? I mean, in English, we usually just slap an S on the end of a word and we're done. But German, it's got all these different endings, sometimes even vowel changes. But here's the secret. What looks like total chaos is actually a set of patterns, and our mission today is to uncover them. All right, this is where the real code breaking begins. Believe it or not, most German nouns, like the huge majority of them, fit neatly into one of 5 main groups. Get these 5 patterns down, and you are honestly more than halfway to mastering German plurals. Okay, so think of this table as your master key. This is it. This lays out the 5 big patterns. You've got plurals with no ending at all, some that add an A, some with a huge group that adds A or EN, and finally, the familiar S. Let's just, walk through each one real quick. First up, we've got group 1, and honestly, it's the easiest one. You're gonna love this. The plural word looks exactly, and I mean exactly, the same as the singular. So, der Lehrer, the teacher, becomes die Lehrer, the teachers. The only thing you change is the article. See? Simple? All right, next up is group 2. This one is super, super common. All you do is add an E to the end of the noun. So die Tisch, the table, becomes die Tische, the tables. You're going to see this pattern everywhere. Then we have group 3, which adds er. So das Haus becomes die Häuser. Now, hang on a second. Did you catch that? The A turned into an A. That little change is called an umlaut, and we're going to talk about that little power-up in just a bit. Okay, group 4. This is another really big one. Here we add either N or EN. You'll see this a ton with feminine nouns. For example, die Blume, the flower, becomes die Blumen, the flowers. And last but not least, group 5. This one should feel pretty comfortable if you're an English speaker. Yep, you just add an S. This is usually for newer words or words that German borrowed from other languages. A perfect example is das Auto becoming die Autos. Okay, so let's circle back to that vowel change we saw a minute ago, the umlaut. The trick is to stop thinking of it as some crazy new rule. It's more like a power-up that gets added to certain nouns from those first 3 groups we talked about. It's not random. It's a specific feature you learn for specific words. And this slide really shows you what I mean. So on the left, you've got words like Apfel or Vater. They get that umlaut power-up when they become plural. But on the right, you've got words that don't. The key takeaway here is pretty simple. When you learn a new noun, you just also learn whether or not it gets an umlaut in the plural. It's part of its identity. All right, we've got the main patterns down. Now, let's talk about a few special cases. But don't worry, these aren't just random curveballs designed to trick you. They apply to really specific types of words, which actually makes them pretty easy to remember. So for starters, some nouns just only exist in the plural form. Think of words like die Eltern for parents or die Ferien for vacation. And here is an awesome shortcut for you. Any word that ends in chen or line, those are called diminutives, they never ever change in the plural. Das Mädchen, the girl, becomes die Mädchen, the girls. How great is that? Okay, now for a little grammar point that can trip people up. The dative plural. But trust me, it's just a simple 3-step check. Step 1, just make the normal plural form. Step 2, check if you're using it after a dative preposition, like mit, which means with. And step 3, if that plural word doesn't already end in an N or an S, you just add an extra N on the end. That's the whole rule. Okay, you've learned the code. You've seen the patterns. Now it's time to actually put it to the test. I'm going to throw a couple of common mistakes up on the screen, taken right from the source exercises. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to spot the error. You ready? Okay, first one. Take a look at this. Ich habe 2 Tisches im Büro. Something about that plural for Tisch just isn't sitting right. Can you remember which group it belongs to? And there it is. Tisch is one of our group 2 nouns, so it needs that E ending. Ich habe 2 Tische im Büro. See? Once you know the pattern, it just clicks into place. All right, let's try one more. Die Studenten sind müde. Oh man, this is such a classic mistake for English speakers. What do you think? What should the plural of Student really be? You got it. Student is a group 4 noun, which means its plural is die Studentin. That S ending has no business being there. Great job. Okay, you did it. You've officially cracked the code. You've got the patterns, you understand the special cases, you have all the tools you need to take on German plurals. Now, the last step is to make this knowledge your own. You know, the source material suggests this brilliant final exercise, and I think it's the perfect way to wrap up. It's all about creating your own personal plural table. Think about it. Take words from your job, your hobbies, whatever you talk about most. You can see with examples here like das Kind or die Zelle. Just write down the singular form, the nominative plural, and then the dative plural. This is how you really go from just knowing the rules to actually mastering them. So, there you have it. That's our deep dive into the world of German plurals. Hopefully, what once seemed like total chaos now feels a lot more like, well, a system, an order. You're now equipped with the code, you have the patterns, you have the tools. Really, the only question left is, which German plural will you conquer next? Thanks for joining me.